So America's birth rate has fallen to its lowest level ever. That could mean long-time economic danger to the United States and threaten our position in the world. What can be done about it? Well, I think the answers might not be things that conservatives like. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. If you share my concerns, maybe you could like this video and subscribe to this channel, and maybe even click that little bell that will notify you when I post something new. So a report reveals that America's birth rate has hit an all-time low. Now, we're not alone in the world to have this problem. In fact, it appears that as a result of COVID, birth rates are down all over the world. What's more is that it's typical for developed countries where, frankly, women have options in their lives and children routinely survive to adulthood. In countries such as those, it's pretty typical to have a birth rate in decline. In fact, it's amazing that the United States has avoided that for so long. But the reality is, in some respects, we haven't. Among native-born Americans, people born here in the United States, the birth rate has been in decline. In fact, the birth rate among people born here in the United States is comparable to that of the birth rate of places like Japan and France and the UK, which are struggling with demographic crises because they don't produce enough children. Where we do get the extra population we need to support the rest of society is from immigration. Now, I know immigration's a dirty word among some conservatives, but that liberal rag, the Harvard Business Review, pointed out that immigration is at the heart of American competitiveness. Why is that? Well, for society to thrive, it needs young people. In fact, in particular, it needs substantially more young people than old people. Now, I'm getting to be an old person myself, so it's not that I'm opposed to old people, but let's face it. As I'm getting older, I don't have quite the ambition that I used to have. I don't have quite the energy that I used to have. I don't have the willingness to work endless hours pursuing a dream anymore. I like hanging out with my family and taking an afternoon nap more than every once in a while. And what's more is as I get older, my healthcare expenses are going up. I mean, I'm 53 now, and every morning I have to take 5 pills. I remember watching my grandparents have to take a handful of pills every morning and thinking to myself, well, that'll never be me. And yet, here I am. Now, the reality is, having young people in society helps us deal with both those problems. On the one hand, they bring the energy and creativity to start new ventures and be entrepreneurial and do the new things that will keep our economy dynamic and keep our country moving forward. And their payments into those programs and into insurance helps cover the cost of the increasing expenses that need to be spent on people like me as we get older. Young people may complain about the fact that they need to spend so much money on health insurance when they're unlikely to use it. Well, the sad truth of the matter is that they're basically paying into it to help pay the expenses of people like me and older folks. So having lots of people working and being productive and paying into these things is essential for older folks like me and my older brethren to continue to prosper. So you've got two things then that we need young people for in society. On the one hand, we need them to bring the energy and creativity that's going to move our economy forward. And on the other hand, we need them working so that they can support the expenses that just get higher and higher as some of us get older in society, while old people like me are living longer and longer and longer, and as a result, there are more and more of us. And you have to remember now, the baby boomers are all getting into retirement age, so there are a lot of them. And if we don't have enough young people working and generating the energy to support all these old people, well, how are we going to be able to do that? One of two things is going to happen. We'll either have to cut the benefits for the old people, or we'll have to so tax the young people that they will be disincentivized to work at all. They'll say, hey, why am I working so hard to basically give all my money to support these old people? This is not some theoretical problem. All you need to do is look at Japan and the years-long slump that they've been in as a result of their demographic problems. I mean, I remember back in the 1980s when everybody thought Japan was going to overtake the United States. What happened? Well, that certainly didn't happen. We love to point to all kinds of rationales as to why Japan didn't end up surpassing us. But it really comes down to one thing, and that's demographics. Japan does not have immigration, essentially. And as a result of that, the number of young people in their society declined as the country became more developed. Now Japan has an enormous number of older folks being supported by a decreasing number of younger folks. And that has resulted in less dynamism and energy and creativity in their economy, and has resulted in Japan being stuck in a slump really since the 1990s. Now, France has largely avoided that fate and actually encouraged its birth rate by having all kinds of family-friendly policies. Things like free childcare, maternity and paternity leave, paid time off to take care of sick family members, long vacations to spend with family. These policies have helped gin up the growth rate of France's young people. But yet in the United States, we don't seem inclined to do those things either. So what's it going to be? If we're going to continue to have the energy and dynamism that has made the United States what it is, we need to have either immigration or family-friendly policies which encourage a higher birth rate, or both. Now, conservatives love to say, oh, we don't want the dregs of society to be immigrants. We just want the superstars, people like Elon Musk, for example. But what research shows is most of these quote-unquote dregs actually contribute a lot more to society than they take out in the form of revenues and taxes. And you never know which one of those people or which one of those families is going to generate the next person who's going to become a superstar here in the United States. It's not as easy as simply attracting the top of the food chain, because guess what? Every country wants them to come there. What gives the United States strength is that historically we've welcomed everybody. And out of that group of everybody, superstars emerge. Aside from the fact that that group of everybody in and of itself produces a lot of dynamism and a lot of energy for our economy to grow and our country to become great. So by choking that off, we're essentially setting ourselves off down a road the direction that Japan has gone. And I challenge you, look at the Japanese economic data if you want to be discouraged. There's evidence this is already impacting our economy. As more and more baby boomers are retiring, the overall growth rate of the United States, really since 2008, has kind of been in a decline, averaging more around 2% rather than 3% per year. That may not sound like a lot, but over time, it really matters. 3% a year growth rate is what the United States experienced since World War II until 2008. 2% growth rate is what Great Britain experienced during that same period. Look at the difference in our economies. It doesn't take long for a country experiencing 3% growth rate to far outclass a country experiencing a 2% growth rate. So this matters. And if you say, hey, the United States is great, we don't need to worry about it, well, guess what? Other countries are trying to fight us for that position. China would love nothing more than to displace us as the #1 country in the world. We may still have the strongest military, but guess what? We need the world's strongest economy to be able to support that strength. Now, I'm not going to claim that choking off immigration or a declining birth rate are the only causes of the economic malaise that we're currently experiencing in the United States. I've done videos on some of the other factors, but they are certainly elements that are causing problems. And setting aside the economic concerns and the self-interest as to reasons why we should support more immigration, just ask yourself, wait a minute, did my family immigrate here to the United States? Because guess what? Just about everyone, in fact, everyone with white skin like mine, came from an immigrant family. And yes, when your family came over here, they struggled hard. But guess what? That struggle is what helped build the American economy into what it is. And now you're going to basically say, look, I got mine. I'm going to roll up the ladder behind me so that others can't have the same advantage. I mean, that not only hurts you and hurts America, but it's just immoral to boot. And if you want proof of that immorality, just look at the cages that the last administration kept children in. And ask yourself if that is what you think America stands for. Well, if you agree with me or disagree with me, I'd love to see your comments down below. If you could give me a like and maybe subscribe to this channel, that'd be a huge help. I'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.